Good evening, Superintendent Maldonado and board members. On February 14th, 2025, Acting Assistant Secretary for Civil Rights, Craig Traynor, issued a Dear Colleague letter from the U.S. Department of Education. It directs schools receiving federal funds to end race-based practices and DEI indoctrination. The letter warns that noncompliance by February 28th could risk federal funding. This impacts districts like ours who receive tens of millions of dollars from the Department of Education. I ask that our board review and change all of our policies, nonprofit funding, and curriculum to ensure full compliance. Dear colleague, discrimination on the basis of race, color, or national origin is illegal and morally reprehensible. Accordingly, I write to clarify and reaffirm the non-discrimination obligation of schools and other entities that receive federal financial assistance from the United States Department of Education. This letter explains and reiterates existing legal requirements under Title IX of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, the Equal Protection Clause of the United States Constitution, and other relevant authorities. In recent years, American educational institutions have discriminated against students on the basis of race, including white and Asian students, many of whom come from disadvantaged backgrounds in low-income families.
Smuggling racial stereotypes and explicit race consciousness into everyday training, programming, and discipline. But under any banner, discrimination on the basis of race, color, or national origin has been, and will continue to be illegal.
And this is the federal government telling you that DEI is not going to be funded by the federal government. That could mean a $50 million loss to the education community. So I think that is very serious of a loss. You probably would like to avoid losing $50 million. And the federal government right here is telling you, you will lose it if you continue pressing DEI. Now, you do have a problem because I know a lot of the books, the curriculum that is used by the district contain DEI precepts. And the curriculum also contains that. So if you're going to remove that, you have to remove books. You have to remove curriculum. You have to be removing teachers. Those courses are going to be gone unless you want to lose $50 million. So that in a nutshell is really what this letter is about. I think that, you should take it very seriously. This is the federal government. This is not just me bringing a lawsuit. This is the federal government who will cut off your money. Parents should realize this. It's a big loss. People really panic over $1 million loss. This is going to be a big $50 million plus loss. So I think I beat that horse to death. Thank you. Please pay attention to this letter. I think it'll make our education process better. And it's not like we're doing great with 70% failure rates for graduates. So we really need to concentrate more on education and less on political and social learning, in my opinion. And this letter from the federal government says the same thing. So thank you. Good day.
We do have some data in our school district. Many years ago, before many of you were on the board, we had an incubator called Just Communities, which implemented a oppressor-based model for education. The DEI, their fundamental theory was that white people oppress black and colored people of color, men oppress women, Christianity oppresses other religions. It was in their Just Communities curriculum. So that table's what the basis of this DEI was teaching. And unfortunately, the school supported it for 7 years with over $1 million. And the Just Communities promised that this curriculum would help close the achievement gap between Hispanics and Asians and whites. Unfortunately, it did the opposite. Over the 7-year period, the Hispanic achievement widened from the white and mainstream population. So it did the opposite of what it promised. So now we have a chance to correct that problem, go back to what worked for 60 years, go back to the 1964 Civil Rights Act, and we treat people as Martin Luther King taught us to treat people. We base it on the content of their character, not on the color of their skin. So we're going back to that. Thank goodness our federal government is making us do this.
It is a privilege, and I appreciate it. So this letter that we've read, some of my peers have read to you half of it. I believe it should be of the highest immediate concern for our board and superintendent. Whether you like the contents of the letter or not, you need to be very intentional in your response. I chose to speak tonight to you as an SOS. I don't mean to be cavalier in saying it this way, but please don't shoot me. I am just the messenger. When I read the Dear Colleague letter, I felt it was very important to put the school board on public notice of the serious threat which the letter makes. We can't bury our heads in the sand, so that you can make an informed and transparent response. The letter, and importantly, your response to it, threatens the academic support of the federal government to our most vulnerable students who are already underperforming in math and English. The academic progress of these students is my concern.
This is not about budget. I'll have my comments there. My comment today is how much I appreciated hearing from constituents, from employees and so forth, with a very respectful tone to the communication. It made me want to read and pay attention because it was done so respectfully. Thank you for that.
I was not going to have a comment today, but I have a comment now. So, I have this Dear Colleague letter in front of me. I think a lot of people read it. I obviously work in higher ed, so we're dealing with it too, and we're trying to figure it out. But when I look at this, it's about creating chaos. It's about creating fear. It's about getting us to do nothing out of just giving up because they want us to be afraid. They want us to think that one person has the authority to do all of these things, make all these changes, affect the way that we're able to support our kids and our families. And one of the things that I think just gets under my skin so much is when people co-opt certain things. And so we got a quote tonight, so let me complete the quote. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character, is the actual quote. Meaning, we are not there right now. And when we talk about equity and justice, for some, I guess that feels like oppression, but let me tell you, we have institutions in this nation that are actually oppressive. And so, you want my answer? My answer is that we're going to continue doing what we do every single day. Serving our students, centering our students, no matter their race, no matter their abilities, no matter how they identify, we are going to continue to serve them because that is what education is about. And that is what we do. So that is my answer.